Okay, law students, you know this feeling, right? A professor assigns some massive 50-page law review article and just looking at it makes your brain want to shut down. Well, today we're going to share a method that turns that whole daunting task into something you can actually manage and even get a lot out of. So, let's dive in. So, does this look familiar? Does it maybe give you just a little bit of anxiety? You open up the file, you see just pages and pages of dense text, footnotes for days, and your brain just goes blank. You start reading, but by the time you hit page 3, you have absolutely no memory of what you just read on page 1. We have all been there.
But here's the thing, it's not you, it's the article. They are literally designed to be this dense. So the key isn't to just read harder, it's to read smarter. And we're about to break down an approach that is seriously going to change the game for you.
This slide just lays it all out perfectly. On the left, that's the common mistake, reading it like a novel, just slogging through it from the first word to the last. It's slow, it's exhausting. But on the right, that's the expert strategy. It's all about being a detective, hunting for clues and piecing together the main argument from the most important bits of information. All right, so how do you become that legal detective? Well, we're going to use this really powerful tool called the 5-question framework. I want you to think of this as your brand new toolkit for taking apart any academic article with speed and, yes, even with confidence.
And look, the method itself is super simple. It really just boils down to asking 5 specific questions that turn you from a passive reader into an active investigator.
Yep, that's it. Just 5. 5 simple questions. And these 5 questions are going to unlock the entire structure and argument of pretty much any article you pick up. So, what are they? Okay, here we go. First up, what's the legal problem or the research question? You got to figure out what's the puzzle this author is trying to solve. Once you know that, you know the article's entire purpose. Second, and this one's huge, what is the author's main argument, their thesis? This is the single most important thing you're looking for. Third, what evidence are they using? Case law, statutes, maybe some data. This is the bedrock of their argument. Fourth, how do they analyze it? This is where they're connecting all that evidence back to their main point. And finally, number 5, what's the conclusion and its contribution? Or, in other words, why should anyone actually care about this article? And this right here, this quote really gets to the absolute heart of why that second question is so important. If you can boil down the author's entire point into just 1 or 2 sentences, you've basically cracked the entire code of that article. That skill alone will completely transform how you do research. Okay, so now you have your 5 questions, right? You know what you're looking for. Now let's talk about where to look for the answers. This is a pro-level shortcut that's going to help you find what you need in record time.
So, here's the trick. You are not going to read this thing from start to finish. Nope. You're going to read it out of order. First, start with the abstract. That's basically the author's cheat sheet. Then, jump right to the introduction. That's where they lay out the problem and usually state their thesis. And then, leap all the way to the end and read the conclusion to see how it all wraps up.
And here's why this works so well. The abstract, the intro, and the conclusion, together, they contain the complete DNA of the article's argument. In just 5 or 10 minutes, you can get the gist of the entire thing. And that lets you decide if this article is even relevant to you before you sink hours into reading the whole thing. It's a total game changer. All right, so let's say you found a great article. You've used the 5 questions to figure out what it's all about, but how do you make sure all that great info doesn't just, vanish from your brain a week from now? Well, that brings us to the final piece of this puzzle, active engagement. See, just reading isn't enough. You've got to do something with the information. So for every article, take a quick note that covers these 4 points. And hey, do these look familiar? They should. They basically mirror our 5 questions. You're capturing the problem, the argument, the evidence, and, this is the most important part, how it actually connects to your own work. The act of summarizing like this is what really makes it stuck. So, let's put it all together. By completely shifting your approach, you go from feeling totally overwhelmed to feeling, well, in control, confident. What you have now is a repeatable system you can use on any academic article thrown your way. So here's what you need to remember, your new game plan. Number 1, ditch the word-for-word reading. Number 2, use that 5-question framework to hunt for the core argument. Number 3, always use the abstract intro-conclusion shortcut to size up an article in just minutes. And finally, number 4, take structured notes to make sure that information actually sticks with you. And really, that's the whole shebang. See, this isn't just some random reading tip. It's a whole new way of thinking about how you engage with scholarly work. You now have the exact tools you need to break down any article, no matter how complex it seems, and pull out what you need quickly and effectively. So I'll just leave you with this final thought. That overwhelming feeling we talked about at the start, it's gone. The whole world of legal scholarship is now open for you, and it's full of fascinating ideas. So now that you have the keys to the kingdom, what amazing things are you going to go out and discover?